The National Health Service, NHS, once a cornerstone of British society, is now hanging by a thread, and the Labour Party cannot escape culpability for this disastrous decline. A shocking 460-page report from the Royal College of Nursing has unveiled the grim state of healthcare under Labour's management, painting a picture of suffering and neglect that would appall even the most indifferent observer. Imagine a patient left to die in a corridor, only discovered hours later. This is not fiction, it's the harrowing reality that frontline workers face daily. Nurses are sounding the alarm on the corridor care crisis, describing a situation so desperate that one nurse admitted she walks through the hospital, head down, trying to avoid the appalling sights. The emotional toll is unbearable. They go home but can't leave the anguish behind. One nurse recounted that she considers quitting every day, citing threats and violence from frustrated patients. The report, based on the experiences of 5,000 nurses, reveals alarming statistics. 70% report treating patients in unsuitable places like corridors, cupboards, and even car parks, while some manage the care of as many as 40 patients at once in a single corridor. 9 out of 10 nurses confirm that patient safety is being severely compromised. Take the case of Wallace Bolter, who suffered a heart attack and waited 12 hours for a bed, spending much of that time in the back of an ambulance. Nurses have described the state of hospitals as inhumane, with dying patients crammed into corridors, stripped of dignity and privacy. One nurse heartbreakingly recounted how 2 dying patients were forced to share a corridor, leaving families devastated and without a proper goodbye. The horror continues as patients vomit on each other in overcrowded conditions. This grotesque situation is not a result of a sudden crisis. It is the culmination of years of neglect, with Labour's inability to allocate adequate resources transforming hospitals into mere holding pens for human suffering. Once an exception, corridor care has now become the norm. Patients are treated in converted cupboards, dining rooms, and even car parks. Nurses report tending to dying patients in breastfeeding rooms and shower areas, while others are left to find deceased patients hours after they have passed away. This is not hyperbole, it's a grim tableau that unfolds daily in our hospitals, and it reflects a system that is utterly broken. Labour, which often professes its commitment to the NHS, has presided over a healthcare system that is at the brink of collapse. In 2024 alone, analysis shows over 500,000 people waited more than 12 hours for hospital admission. Yet, what does Labour's health secretary offer in response? Empty platitudes about moving care into the community while failing to address the gaping holes in the current system. The crisis is deepening, yet their responses are painted with denial. Richard, the health secretary, deflected blame onto previous administrations, attempting to rewrite history and sidestep accountability. He claims that Labour is committed to eliminating corridor care, but as record delays and overwhelmed hospitals persist, such promises ring hollow. The report serves as a damning indictment of the NHS's operational failures and Labour's inability to foresee or mitigate systemic issues. Nurses are overwhelmed, forced to work in conditions worse than during the pandemic, with one nurse resigning after witnessing an elderly dementia patient left in soiled, cruel conditions. Labour's attempts to rationalise the crisis as a result of winter pressures and flu season are nothing short of insulting. The reality is that the NHS was already operating at full capacity long before the winter months. The tragedy lies in how conditions that were once deemed intolerable have become normalised under Labour's watch. The prospects for immediate improvement are bleak, as officials openly admit that patients will continue to be treated in corridors in the coming year, an acknowledgement of failure. Some trusts, like Whittington Health, have been reduced to advertising for corridor nurses, a humiliating admission of the systemic dysfunction. The truth is glaringly clear: Labour has turned the NHS into a national disgrace. Their failure to navigate this crisis has left nurses dispirited, patients dehumanized, and the public utterly betrayed. This report should serve as a wake-up call. The British people deserve more than hollow promises and political finger-pointing. If the Labour Party cannot reclaim the dignity and humanity that should characterise healthcare, they have no business claiming to be its champion. The current state of the NHS is monstrous, affecting millions, and it reflects a broader systemic failure that has been allowed to fester for far too long. The time for accountability is now, and the people deserve leaders who will prioritize their health and well-being over political gamesmanship. This is a pivotal moment for the future of healthcare in the UK, and it demands urgent action and genuine commitment from those in power.